Is diversity our strength as Americans? Honestly, no. I think individualism and independence, clearly, by looking at 1776 and the amazing things that we've accomplished, independence and freedom is our strength as Americans, actually. If you truly know America, if you truly appreciate the American way, which is, again, to own your own land, right? To have a family that you can be proud of, a job that you can be proud of, or a business that you can be proud of. One of the two, right? Why does everybody want the American dream? Well, because you think of wealth when you think of America. You think of success, prosperity, exceptionalism, systems, products, money, innovation, industrialism, chance, risk, diversity, even. America's a beautiful place, and it still could be even better than what we ever imagined possible. And we have an opportunity now with Donald Trump back in office to change the entire future of the United States, but also of the world in a great way. And how are we going to do that? Well, for the first time in the first 20 years, perhaps we have the chance of getting out of a war with the Middle East. Maybe. This depends on Israel. This depends on the trajectory of our relationship with Israel, with Congress, and how these things come to play out. How greater Israel, or if greater Israel, better to say, will ever come into fruition. Now, why does this matter? Why are we talking about race? Why are we talking about this all of a sudden? How does this connect to America? Well, it connects to America because, obviously, again, much of our systems and our technology, our infrastructure is run and owned by Israel. And again, we also are very much, subversive to, or we're very much submissive to China in many ways, because we don't produce our own semiconductors, for example. And that's why Trump is very big about bringing jobs back to the United States, because it's common sense. It makes sense. That's why he wants to acquire Canada, because we pay for their military. We pay for everything, essentially. All of the protection over that country with economic pressure. And not that we shouldn't even need economic pressure. Let's talk about that and remember that. Because, again, we are the reason Canada can actually survive and have decent lives every night. So they're not burning cities down. See, in America, we burn our cities down because BlackRock owns us. And really, at the end of the day, globalism and, racial goals of what do you think is going to happen when the world starts going nuts? And so it brings me to the issue of business, entrepreneurship, and sales and marketing. Why does this all matter? Does this affect us as entrepreneurs? Should we even talk about politics and business? Well, I think we should. And I think the reason we should is because we should know what's going on. You should be educated. You should know how things tie, because guess what? Politicians are business people. They're business owners at the end of the day. Business owners. That's what they do. They're stock traders, insider traders. Professional insider traders is what your politicians are. So, everything's a business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale, if you didn't already know this. So you have to understand how important politics actually is to your life, because before you know it, when you're not paying attention, and if you're too entertained, and if things are too great, suddenly you're not paying attention to wars that are happening on the other side of the world. Suddenly you're not paying attention to the prices on your eggs at the grocery store. Right? Suddenly, you're not paying attention to the fact that you have a negative bank account, defaulting on credit cards, can't pay the bills. All of a sudden, things start to get weird. Things get harder. Suddenly, arguments start to ensue within the family, within the inner circle. And now there's resentment. And what does resentment do? Well, resentment brings hate. What does hate do? Hate brings depression, sadness. And what does hate and sadness bring? Jealousy, envy, and then what comes after that? Evil. And so when you really break things down, where we're going and why business is important, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, and then also geopolitics and why these things should be tied in together into a conversation. Because truly, you can't really do one or the other without the sufficiency of the other side. Business needs to be successful. Capitalism, the system of economics in a country, needs to be successful in order for the political system to be successful. Because who do the politicians serve? Well, they serve their constituents, you and I. And so with that, they have the pressure of making sure that you and I are making enough money so we can live and eat, and so that we can pay our bills. See how it works. And so at the end of the day, we live in a technocratic, utopian society that has been built up by a globalist structure, but also Israel and different political factions of the government, Wall Street, the banking systems, many different groups. But overall, the ones I just mentioned. 3-letter agencies, of course, CIA, FBI, you better believe it. NSA, they're already listening to me right now, listening to you right now. They know what's going on. So all I'm saying is that if you don't want to be a victim of this technocratic utopian society, where we're all just numbers, digits, decimals, Deutschmarks and the Matrix, well then you need to awaken and to open your eyes to see what is truly being veiled. What is truly being hidden from your reality? When you watch television, why do you think they call it television programming? You know, you have all of this smart technology. Look at it around you. How smart is it? None of it even really works. Isn't that funny? So at some point in our lives as Americans, but as people in general, as human beings, we need to understand that America is a place of prosperity and has a lot of potential to become something even more than we ever imagined. But this only can happen if America can come together. If the world can not become a one-world government, like George H. Bush and these globalists and all these Jews, and really, in radical Jews, I should say, because there are a lot of good Jews, and ethical. It's a very complicated conversation to have that, and I'm not even going to want to go there. I just don't want to go there, because it's just a whole rabbit hole, and just, there's just too much madness in the world to bring up even more, when it's like we ought to just focus on the issues that matter, how we can, move forward as a society and be innovative again and make money. We ought to stop being victims. We ought to stop blaming other people and other races. We ought to start taking things into our own hands as individuals. So perhaps tribalism isn't the worst thing. I had a guest on my podcast a few months ago, and I stopped doing a podcast. I kind of stopped having guests on just because it was just becoming a lot. What's funny is I actually interviewed like 6 other people, and I unfortunately was never able to release the interviews. At the time, my laptop had gotten some water spilt on it, and so I had to take it in, and because of the water damage, it was out for a few weeks, and then I was just totally behind schedule. I had to use my girlfriend's laptop, and it was one of those issues. But anyways, I digress. So when you look at things that are going on in the world today, in America, the American dream, what requires us to be successful, I had a conversation with former podcast guest Michael C. Anderson, and we talked about tribalism to answer this question of how do we make America great again, but also build business and commerce and entrepreneurship. How do we ignite the American mind to be motivated towards success and industrialism again? To be forward thinkers but independent and critical and self-reliant again. Not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Weak-willed, no discipline. Men today have no radicalization. There's no perspicacious desire for winning anymore, like there used to be during our ancestors' times. Isn't it funny how You go on Ancestry.com, you start typing in ancestors. You start typing that in. Create an account, $29 a month or something like that. It's not a lot of money. And I know for some people it can be. I was poor too at one time. But I'm just saying, get a job, do what you gotta do, and some investments. Have the girl help you for a while you're building your success, whatever. But all I know is when we're talking about America, and when we're talking about dreams and goals and entrepreneurship and what ignites the mind of an American, what makes us want to win, well, part of that comes from our ancestral DNA, but also our perspicacious desire to win. And so we have to have that again as Americans. We need more energy, plain and simple. Too many men are weak today. You look back in history at Ancestry.com, and your ancestors were quite literally having 10, 12, 14 kids sometimes. At least in my ancestral DNA, we were. My mother's side, my grandmother's father's side, had many children, 12 kids. And you would see this, but it was generational, generations, somewhere between the 1800s, and then you go back towards you go back beyond that. Everybody was having kids. Why? Why are kids so important? Well, you've only been told in college all these years that kids are a waste and that human beings are bad and that we're all meant to just die. The world needs to be depopulated. I mean, that's what I learned in college. In my college, we were learning a lot of globalism things. I went to a college with a lot of pre-med, pre-law students, so a lot of the stuff we were learning was, post-industrial 9/11, globalism, one world government. You were learning I was a criminal justice and police administration major. So I learned the system. I learned how things work a little bit. That my assignments were to write 20-page essays on serial killers, which was kind of cool. But I also was given assignments on how to, what are a few cool assignments we did? We did one assignment where we had to build a prison as a group, and we had to basically budget a prison and make that work administratively. Sounds so boring, but it's actually pretty neat, because when you consider how much money we actually make from the criminals we convict, it explains a lot as to why America is one of the most high, one of the worst countries ever for non-violent offenders and people you put in jail and prison. Now, at the same time, I also still do believe in capital punishment. People still should be going to jail. But anyways, again, I'm digressing. I went to college and they taught us a lot of globalist stuff and a lot of one world government stuff, and I hated that. It drove me crazy, actually. And so I wanted to learn about America. I loved my country. I grew up in a Presbyterian Christian home. Scottish, mostly, and Irish. Scottish and Irish, mainly. And then English, of course. So basically, I was a Saxon growing up, and then also on my dad's side was more Sweden and Norwegian. So I got a lot of Scandinavian blood in me as well. And so I guess that's why I was always strong. I was always motivated towards certain ideals. I was very German also. I always forget to mention that, but it's very Germanic, German, and Scandinavian, and then Saxon. So I just have this European mindset, and I grew up with the mentality of appreciating and honoring the Holy Empire, and Christianity and Catholicism really was how I grew up. And I just think that's a much more optimal lifestyle. You follow the 10 Commandments, you live a good life, have a good wife, have a good family, have a lot of kids, won't be depressed and lonely, won't be doing stupid stuff, won't be falling into delusion or debauchery like everybody else does because they want to be pleased, and everybody wants to feel bad for themselves, and everybody wants to just relish in all of this just horrible shit, really. You got porn, fighting, domestics today, man. I see that as a cop. It's just crazy. But it's true. I mean, I see how it happens at the same time. So this is the point of this episode. It's just a little rant. I just make these when I have some extra time because I enjoy talking about the real issues like this, and I think it is a real issue. America, a big problem with America is we're so hatred towards one another as human beings. We focus on the race of one another. But really, we ought to just focus on success. We ought to just focus on being Americans. The ideals and principles of America, not culture wars. Because that's what destroys this planet. That's what makes us go extinct, is these culture wars we keep having. These religious wars even. Even as a Christian, it's like, to some degree, if you have this radical, insane idealism towards your religion, and you put that above other human beings, what does that cause? It causes turmoil and war, and just horrible shit. Like, if I was the devil, I would create religion, actually, instead of just teaching mankind to live in harmony. If I was the devil, I would create religion. What's interesting is, if you look at a lot of different religions, and again, I'm mainly a Christian, Presbyterian Christian, okay, and I would convert. I'd also convert to Catholicism too, because I do, respect both religions, and I appreciate both of them. I think they're important. The point is, America needs to become strong again. America needs to become masculine again, motivated again. We need to become competitive again. Something great about this country is the drive of the human beings who live here. And we need to stop being tribal based on religions and having these wars based on religions. And we should rather focus our energy and our time towards uniting as a human race, not as a one world government, because it does sound similar when you actually think about it. And you have to be careful about that, by the way, that you don't ever become a one world government by becoming a unified human race, because I think that's human. It's important. There should be regions. There should be a level of tribalism to a necessary degree, but at the same time, there needs to be some level of space, right? In order to respect each other's race, we must respect each other's space. I feel like I'm teaching a fucking third grade class sometimes. Sorry, but it's like I do. Like, sorry, third graders, if you're listening to this, but sometimes I have to speak at that level for the people listening. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm a know-it-all, because I'm not. I'm wrong all the time. Go watch my YouTube videos. Stuff I talk about. Sometimes I'm like wrong with the things I say. Sometimes I'll say things I didn't even like catch what I said. And when I play it back, and when I'm watching my stuff on YouTube or Spotify, and I'm just like, oh crap, why did I say that? That's not even what I meant. So, sometimes I just say things I literally don't even mean. Like, swear to God. But I'm always going to try to be honest about how I'm thinking, feeling, and I'm going to try to be accurate. And I'll always try to correct myself if I am wrong. Anyways, back to what we were talking about originally. Point is, the United States of America is a powerful country, and we're coming into a very prosperous era. And I believe the next decade, so long as we don't kill each other, right? We have a great president, for example, Donald Trump, wants to make everything prosperous, wants everybody to live in harmony, doesn't even want to go against his enemies that have ruined his life. He has every reason to put these people in prison till the day they rot and die. But no, Trump has been a peaceful leader, which, kudos, because it's helped unifying the world. And people are coming together again. Even the dark forces of evil are coming together again with the forces of good. And there's this weird thing happening. And what if this evil thing could just be destroyed forever? What if this energy of evil could be destroyed? What if there was a way, right, to destroy energy? Because we live in an electromagnetic grid, an electromagnetic field. We live on a disk, essentially, right? And some people call that flat Earth. I don't know. You look at the Kabbalah, you read different Freemasonry literature, you talk to a lot of airline pilots, you'll get different responses. Who knows, really, at the end of the day. We're all being lied to about everything. Everything's a psychological operation, first of all. And you always have to just come back to that point. Because we're living in a time where technology is at our fingertips, information is constantly being fought over. The accuracy and the flow of information, there's always a war over it. So the powers that be are controlling your mind with a lot of disinformation too. So who knows about flat Earth and whether that's real or whether the Earth's a sphere. I think people should actually be skeptical of it. At first I thought people were crazy for believing the Earth was flat, but when you start to look at some things, it's a little interesting. The map of NATO, how it's basically a flat Earth, that's kind of weird, right? But again, I'm not making assumptions, because again, I just, I really, it's kind of strange how you look at, did we really go to the moon? No, we didn't. You can tell that shit was made in a green screen Hollywood motion picture studio. At the same time, again, maybe it could be a lie. Maybe we're all just being played. Maybe it really did happen. Maybe there's actually evidence to prove that it did happen, and we're all being played by the Chinese or the Jews or the globalists, whatever. Who knows? maybe it's who knows, right? Maybe it's Democrats, whatever you want to call it. Who knows? All I do know is it's time to wrap up this episode because I'm ready to eat. It is 5:40 p.m. Eastern Central Time, the United States of America and Michigan. And today is January 16th, 2025. Donald Trump's inauguration is 4 days away today. 4 days away. And XRP has reached some pretty amazing prices. Finally broke $3 yesterday on the January 15th. Finally broke $3 again since its previous all-time high of $3.84 back in 2018. And so now XRP is going to maybe take over Bitcoin. Who knows? It's looking like it based on the data, based on utility, based on the technology, based on information. Who knows? But that's just what we know. Everything's an information war, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I got nothing else. God bless the United States of America. God bless you. God bless Donald Trump. God bless those who want prosperity, freedom, and greatness, honor, integrity, and those who want to do what's right for mankind. Have lots of babies, make lots of money, have lots of success, learn new skills, renovate your homes, buy farmland, and again, have many, 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 many babies. Have as many kids as you can. Raise them well and to be successful human beings and Americans. Because if America succeeds, the rest of the world succeeds. Ladies and gentlemen, got nothing else. Stay prudent, stay powerful, and stay wealthy.